So you dance in light and heavy smoke. Have you fixed that treasured heart that's so broke? Here is it safe, follow me, give this a meaning. Do you wanna feel the rush when somebody is listening? Heaven is getting closer. no fui el primero, ni seré el último, pero sé que lo gozaré. Para serte sincero, un Dios el que te enseñó lo que puedes hacer con mi piel. Baby, si se nos da, será lo que será, los dos vamos a matar, toda esa curiosidad. Baby, si se nos da, será lo que será, los dos vamos a matar, toda esa curiosidad. Solo yo sé desayunar, solo tú comes el pastel. Con estilo siempre te vas, pero te vienes con placer. Me dijiste no quiero nada, pero quieres todo, mujer. Baby, yo te hago soñar, algo más rico que la miel, mi droga que te legalicen. No digamos el pecado, que hay cosas que no se dicen. Y en la piel tú y yo jugando, baby, para que te dices. Y tú solo dices que quieres más, que matemos la curiosidad. Eso es, baby, si se nos da, será lo que será, los dos vamos a matar, toda esa curiosidad. Baby, si se nos da, será lo que será, los dos vamos a matar, toda esa curiosidad. Aquí viviendo roce, estamos solitos y eso más de las 12. Pegándote bien lento, baby, para que tú goces. No somos algo serio, pero bien si me conoces. Tú eres el antojo de mi vida. Si tanto que te pienso ya no encuentro la salida. Pero no somos nada, nada, girl. Pero no somos nada, nada, girl. Baby, si se nos da, será lo que será, los dos vamos a matar, toda esa curiosidad. Baby, si se nos da, será lo que será, los dos vamos a matar, toda esa curiosidad.
What's up, everybody? We're live. It's been a week. It feels like a lot less and more than 7 days. But welcome everybody to Generation Orange. Just making sure I'm like looking over to see if everything in my studio stuff is working right. It is. I'm proud. I'm glad. But I am one of your two hosts, Sean Ringrose, and my co-host every week, as you guys know, is.
What's going on, guys? This is Mark Segovia. Man, yeah, it's been a long 7 days.
Roller coaster of emotions.
Roller coaster of emotions is correct, man. I felt like I was on, what was that Astro World ride? Texas Tornado, Texas
Cyclone, baby.
The Cyclone, that's what it was, right? Yeah, guys, but, obviously, a kind of an up and down last 7 days. But before we get into all that, I just want to wish everybody a happy 713 day. It's a little bit of celebrations out there. Obviously 713, for those who don't know, and I'm sure all of you know, is the primary area code for Houston, Texas, which is the place where we reside. So, shout out to everybody at the 713. But yeah, Sean, where to start, man? Like, it's kind of hard sometimes, being a Dynamo fan. And not in a bad way. Look, I understand that clubs are gonna have ups and downs, but like, man, yeah, last night was just kind of a kick in the chest. But Saturday night was obviously a little bit of a picker upper. I mean, something that the club needed, something that the fan base needed, something that we all needed, a little bit of a boost. And PNC was electric. The atmosphere was fantastic. The pregame, the tailgate, whatever you want to call it, whatever part of it that you want to point out, A+. It was awesome. I had a great day. Got a little drink in me. Had a little fun. Sweated it out.
Just a little, Mark.
Just a little bit. But it was all good. Sean, what about yourself? What do you want to talk about? How was your Saturday day experience?
Man, that tailgate experience was otherworldly levels of just incredible vibes, incredible hype. So many friends and people that I now at this point essentially consider family. There hanging out, and it was just phenomenal. I mean, everybody was vibing on a totally different level. Like you said, the drinks were flowing. There was plenty of it. If you left without drink because you were either underage or you didn't want to drink, or you have personal reasons not to drink, but you were offered drink, that was a guarantee. Yeah, the vibes, man, the vibes were next level. I have never, and this is since the Robertson days, and there will be some TA people that'll be like, well, we used to have tailgates like that. No, y'all didn't. Y'all just living in a nostalgic past. Like, y'all just fondly remember them, but they were nothing like that tailgate. That tailgate was just off the charts different.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's something that, like I said, as a supporter, and especially for the supporter groups, was well needed. I mean, obviously, I think it's Bandera Negra who typically tailgates out there in Lot C, and then obviously Surge do Pitch 25, and EB does Texas tailgate, and it's kind of separate. So it's kind of good every once in a while to get together and do that actual hustle town thing. Make it all love. Even though we're all separated, but we all have the same love and passion for our Houston Dynamo, and it showed out. We had a great time. Obviously, the music was booming, the drinks were flowing, like you said, and we had a couple of special guest appearances there from a couple of special people from our front office. So shout out to Pat, Diana, and obviously BDT for showing out, having a couple of drinks with us. And it was a great time, man. It was a great time. Hot as hell, but it's great.
Yeah, it was really awesome to have Pat come out. He's been out before to the kind of pregame pregame parties at Pitch 25. But getting him out to a tailgate is kind of a different feel, different vibe. And then when he mentioned that Ted was on his way, I mean, that was like, oh, buddy, like like I said, it was next level in every way possible, but even more so with that. And then the Jeep crew that showed up definitely brought the heavy hit sound. It was loud, it was crazy, it was definitely hot. I will confirm Kyle and Mela, mentioning that it was definitely hot. And fairly humid, but with the tent that was provided, shout out to George for getting with the Tent Co, to get that sponsored tent set up. But man, that canopy, that tent made such a difference. As someone who was out in the direct sunlight for about 15 minutes playing cornhole with one of the guys, I can tell you that once I got back in that tent, I felt like, why was I out in that sun? Because it was that hot, and it hurt to be out there that long, especially at my old age. But it was a good time, man. There was cornhole. It was on there was cornhole.
There was cornhole.
I played it, so I know it was there. It was brought to us by the Heineken ladies.
The Heineken girls. The Heineken Zero girls.
Oh yeah, well yeah, it was Heineken Zero specifically, yeah. But there was so much stuff to do, to eat, to drink. Just, top to bottom, the entirety of that tailgate was well handled. And oh, dude, I got my ass handed to me, and I'm not afraid to say it. How old is he, G? Do you even know? Because, bro, he beat me like I was.
Like he stole something.
He beat me like, yeah, he beat me like I stole something. That was for sure. It was bad. It was real bad.
Rob on the YouTube said he got good footage of you losing.
I mean, to be fair, that's not hard to get footage of me losing, but I had a couple of good moments, but then there were some moments that I'm like, what the hell? And the bags weren't great. I'm not gonna lie. Look, I'm gonna give myself some excuses. The bags weren't great. They were really heavy and really full, so they didn't have that same like hit the thing and then slow. They hit that thing and just skyrocketed right off it. So you had to really like finesse. And finesse ain't my game. People know that. I ain't a finesser.
You're all about the power.
I'm all about that power, man. All about that powering through. But yeah, enough about the vibes, man. Vibes went from one extreme to the next in a matter of days.
Yeah, man. Obviously, like I said, to have two matches back to back against your in-state rivals or your biggest rivals, according to geographics or whatever. It's a tough deal, and especially for us as the Dynamo fans that, I know a huge number of y'all traveled to Q2 Stadium and to go watch the Dynamo play in that match and on a midday week. So salute to you, all those guys who made it out there, man, because, to do that on Tuesday, obviously a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, had to call off work or, use a day or whatever the case needed to be to make that happen. So, salute to you guys. But hopefully next year, we get that game in Saturday so that we can show how deep we roll, how deep we can roll into Austin, and hopefully maybe fill up a whole section like they do when they come over here because, it's pretty sad that these games are supposed to be the marquee games. MLS does a lot of promotions for this Heineken rivalry week or whatever, and for you to have those kind of games midday, it's midweek, it's kind of sorry, like why couldn't we have the San Jose game yesterday and then the Austin game this Saturday or Sunday, but whatever. Needless to say, it passed already. The outcome wasn't to our liking. Obviously, the first half was pretty good, with Coco scoring the first goal. Really good goal for him, his second goal with the club. And then obviously Fagundes replying right back like a minute or two later on a really, really great free kick from him. I'm gonna give him his props because it was a great free kick. Clark was frozen. He couldn't do anything about it, and it'll probably be one of the goals of the week nominees for this upcoming week or whatever. But yeah, man. But when that second half started, obviously we all got excited because Hector was on the pitch ready to go. But that's pretty much the only thing to be excited about for that second half, Sean. I don't know if there's anything else that made you excited about that second half other than seeing Hector start it. But if there is, please let me know.
Nope. I had absolutely nothing to be excited about in that second half. Giuseppe G Money will tell you, absolutely. I was, I was pretty distraught, and the biggest, part of my frustrations and struggles, Jay will too. My frustrations and struggles, and it was the same thing Saturday, actually, ironically enough. But how do you leave Memo out there, man? I don't even have words. Like, just frustrating to no end.
It's funny because I was at home watching the game, right, and like the last 20 minutes, my wife was on me because she was like, "You're not even paying attention to the game." I was like, "No, I'm not. Honestly, I'm not. I'm all into the Twitter and everything. What's going on, the Discord. Everybody has something to say, and obviously I saw a lot of hashtag Naga out, whatever, and all this stuff, and things like that. Which I'll set the record straight from my standpoint. I think it's too soon. But Nagamura does have to do a better job with his selections and with his substitutions, man. It's one of those things where, Coco is one of your marquee players. Hector obviously is your franchise player, And for you to sub him out to bring in Hector and you leave Memo in there still, and you have this super defensive midfield because you have Seren in there still, and you're in enemy territory. You're 1-1. I mean, it's like, so was your plan to play it safe and park the bus for the rest of the 45 minutes? Like, if that was the idea, then yeah, Nagamura needs to maybe rethink about being a head coach, because you want to go out there and win. This is your rival, your in-state rival. This is not just any regular match, regardless if the Dynamo are in last place and Austin are in first place in the conference, or vice versa. This is a game that you always want to win. Austin and Frisco are always games that, as Dynamo fans, those are games that we all look to go out there and beat them, whether it be in PNC or at their park, and I just, like I said, I don't know what the thought process was, because they are obviously playing on Tuesday. They don't play again till Sunday, I believe. So the guys are going to have plenty of rest. I understand that there was a lot of pressure and high emotions for Saturday's game, Frisco, whatever. But like I said, these are professionals, man. These guys are ready to go, man. I mean, like they live for this stuff. These are classicals, these are derbies, whatever you want to call them. These are the games that they want, that as a player, as a professional player, regardless if you're 70%, 80%, 90%, 100%, whatever, 20%, you want to be out there on that pitch defending your city, your town, your crest, whatever. And to not be given that opportunity, it's frustrating. As soon as I saw that starting lineup, Sean, I was like, nah, we're not here to win. We're not here to win at all. Obviously when Coco scored that goal, it was a fantastic moment because it was so unexpected. And I was hoping we would have another a Dynamo Galaxy moment like we had for that game, because that game too, I remember saying that the starting formation for that game was sorry too, but you had motivated players on that pitch that day. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's frustrating because, to your point, and we all, even those of us that were at the watch party, kind of felt the same thing. Like, this lineup, man, Paulo is going out there and he's defending deep. He's gonna want to, he's just trying to. To me, it felt like he was trying to hold off Austin until he could bring Hector Herrera on, and then he was hoping that Hector Herrera was going to bring enough to overcome whatever Austin threw his way. And what we saw was almost, the complete opposite of that. It was frustrating watching players like Memo, and I'm going to get away from Memo, but, players like Memo stay on the pitch. Bringing on Dorsey, yeah, he can get forward, but he can't do anything with the ball when he gets there.
See, Sean, I'm sorry. I had the same thought as you, what you just mentioned, right? I thought, okay, look, obviously we're not the most highly octane team as far as scoring goals, right? So we can get to the first half tied up, and we were 1-1. Then I was thinking, dude, okay, if we're tied second half, he's going to bring in the full cavalry.
100%. 100%. I felt great going into halftime. Man, we're at 1-1. I thought we were going to be down like 3-0 at halftime. I was excited.
Exactly. Like I was telling my wife, when I saw that formation, I was like, man, I'm hoping for 0-0. She's like, you don't want them to score goals? I'm like, yes, I want them to score goals, but this lineup, it doesn't. I hope that they just don't shit the bed and end up losing 3-0 by halftime. But, thankfully, for whatever reason, they ended up 1-1. So I'm like, oh, we're there. Cool. So I'm thinking, as soon I'm grabbing my stuff ready to go watch the second half. And I'm like, okay, I see Herrera. Okay, cool. I still see Memo in there. Okay, fine. Where's Sebas? I don't see Sebas. No, it's not. There's no Sebas. Quintero? No, there's no Quintero. Where's Coco? He subbed Coco with Herrera. What the hell's going on? So then I'm like, my whole thing went from like, oh shit, we're gonna do the whole cavalry to he's gonna park the whole bus. I'm like, dude, like, no, like that's like, as a player, honestly, in my opinion, I'd rather you throw the whole cavalry when you're a visiting team, and if we end up losing like we did 3-1, F it. We lose 3-1, but we shot with our best guns. We shot with our best bullets, whatever, But the fact that we went in there, played like the first 20 minutes of that second half super defensive and ended up 3-1, and then once they put in Quintero, whatever. Cool. And then what they brought in a bunch of defensive players, Dorsey and I can't remember the other players.
Junqua was the other one.
Junqua, and all this, like, dude, okay, so I guess that's it. That's it, man. Like, there was no fight. And this is one of your biggest matches. This is for bragging rights. Austin came into PNC and beat us, man. Like, dude, there's no pride. Where's the pride?
Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't get it. And I look at this match, and I would say that, while it wasn't must win, it certainly was not a match that you could afford to go out there, and especially going in level at halftime, to give up 2 goals so quickly in succession to each other. The fans were hyped at halftime, and I know because I was at the watch party. And with the amount of traveling fans you had on a Tuesday, a Tuesday during the day to get there, to be there for the match on a Tuesday night. I mean, it just,
it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful.
It was
Sean.
Disrespectful, but it was also,
I mean, Sean, think about it. I mean, look, you work, you're on call, you do your thing, right? I work, I'm out there, doing what I do, and you decide, you know what, man, I really want to go support my squad. I want to make this trip. I love going on these away trips. I know it's a Tuesday, but F it. I'll take the day off, and I'll do my work the next day on half rest or whatever you want to do. And you go out there and they give you this performance. It's like, dude, like what's going on? Like, man, it's a slap to the face of the people who actually, went out there, and it's sad because, I was supposed to go out there, but obviously I had other decisions to make as far as where I can take time off and this and that, and now I look at it and I'm like, man, dude, like I'm kind of glad I didn't go, because I would have been pissed. I mean, last season, when we went to Austin, it was a kind of similar thing, but they fought back a little bit, so they made the game tight. They had an opportunity to tie the game at the end, unfortunately it didn't go our way, but we ended, I think it was a 3-2 final score or whatever, but at least, there was moments for us to cheer and to be proud of that team, for the fight and grit. But like I said, for the last 25, 30 minutes of that match, I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't looking at the screen. I was focused on Twitter to see what the hell they're talking about on Twitter. That was more entertaining to me than what was going on TV. But Sean, let me ask you, how was that watch party, man? I heard you won a couple of things.
I did. I got a bucket hat, which I will show off. Beautiful bucket hat. Gonna be clutch on the sunny days, I will say. I didn't actually win the soccer ball, but Kev from the Search Discord won the Heineken soccer ball, or won a Heineken soccer ball, and promptly decided to give it up to me. So I have a Heineken soccer ball. Will be used for foot golf. No. Look, the players that were there was only one player that I would have considered getting it signed by. Maybe two. There were only 3 players there. But Corey Baird was there. I was like, he walked in. I'm like, who is this schmuck? Oh, it's Corey. Then there was also Zarek Valentin. Was there, and kudos to him for coming out and to pitch and showing up. And they did some autographs at halftime and that sort of thing. Beto Avila was there.
Okay.
Beto was there with his girlfriend, his wife, his fiance, whatever they are. He was there.
I thought you had 3 of them. I was like, man, he's doing like that.
One of the look, I don't know what his look. I don't have his Facebook. I don't know what his relationship status says.
The way you said it, man.
He doesn't have a side piece that I'm aware of. Okay,
like,
don't put that out there, bro. Don't put that out there.
Shout out to Beto, not only scoring on the pitch but in life.
Thank you to the person who just gifted 5 subs. Let's go.
There you go.
Apparently, Mark is now subscribed for 2 months in a row. Great job, Mark.
Hell yeah.
Oh, thanks, Death. That's awesome.
Hey,
Thank
thanks,
you,
man.
Death. Oh, that's awesome.
You're the best.
Now I've totally lost my train of thought. But no. So they were out there, and then Bobby Boswell showed up.
Hey.
But you know what's funny? You know who didn't show up? Of all people, Brian Ching did not show up to his own establishment for the watch party.
It's because he's out there making business moves, man.
He must have been. He was making some kind of moves.
He's out there making money moves, man.
You know, there was a moment when a foul was called, and it was a 50-50 shoulder-to-shoulder tackle by Lundy. And the ref called the tackle, and it was right at the top corner of the box. Our box where they were shooting at our goal. And when the tackle happened, I was so pissed off. I was trying to get Boswell to be like, man, that is absolutely not a foul in any world. That definitely wasn't a foul in my day, that type of thing. Because he was a center back. And man, I tell you what, that was such a absolutely terrible call by the ref.
Yeah.
And there were a number of them. There legitimately were. He started buying into what Austin were selling. And it just put the Dynamo in a tougher position. But I'm not blaming the refs. There's no way. Look, as bad as they were, the team was even worse. And it felt like, when we conceded that second goal, which you're still in it at that point, but it felt like mentally there was just a complete collapse of the team. Like anything we were trying to generate going forward, just nothing was connecting right. Everything was underrun or overrun, overhit, underhit, mishit. Memo missing a ball bouncing right in front of him, just completely like he hits it, I guess, but he shanked the hell out of it. I mean, just left and right, everything just that could have gone wrong went wrong, other than us getting a red card, thank God, because I don't know if we could really afford that. But yeah, I mean, from a watch party perspective, coming back to that, from the watch party perspective, it was legit. It was a good watch party. It wasn't, a huge turnout, maybe 20 to 30 people, but with so many people traveling to Austin, it's not really a surprise on a weekday night that, you only get 20 to 30 out to pitch for a watch party. But Heineken was out there, beer was flowing, man, left, all sorts of beer.
You sound kind of slurred there too.
No, not slurred. I'm just trying to word it the way that I want to word it. It's more, it's a matter of, like you said, I spent my Tuesday night to go support the club. I didn't travel to Austin. Again, huge props and respect to everybody who did. Mm-hmm. But I still took my Tuesday night to go hang out and watch the team and support the team with a bunch of friends.
Yeah, of course.
And for the team to put that performance on the pitch in the second half, like you said, it was disrespectful. And man, if I'd have traveled for this match, bro, I'd have been like calling up Malcolm and Ben like, dude, I'm borderline not signing up for season tickets next season. Like, if the team's going to put that kind of performance out, I don't care how bad your players are, just go out there and show me some damn heart for an entire half. Like, give me 90 minutes of heart and passion. Like you said, give me an aggressive approach. Give me a push. Show me that you're at least like, you've got something you're playing for.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I've always learned that it's never over to the fat ladies things, right? And after they scored that third goal, I mean, that was that. And then like there was still plenty of time. I always say, man, and I always think to myself, man, as quickly as they score goals on you, you can quickly score that amount of goals back on them. And but the way the substitutions were made and things like that was just like, all right, here, just go out, just don't get hurt, and we're on to San Jose. Basically, was the what I got out of it, and man, I don't know. I posted a tweet on my personal account, and I'm sure a lot of y'all seen it, the Scooby-Doo one where he takes off the mask and it's Paolo, but he takes off the mask and then it ends up being Tab or whatever. And the reason why that I think a lot of people responded to that tweet and interacted with that tweet was because you can see similarities. Obviously both of them being rookie coaches, this being their first professional gig, and both of them coming from youth youth academies of, of certain sorts, and coaching kids coming up to coaching professionals. And, like I said, whether or not Nagamura is that guy or he isn't, it's the substitution thing again. It kills me, man. The team selection, it kills me, man. And it just, I don't understand what they're seeing. I understand Herrera not starting, right? I understand that, but I don't understand how you don't start how you don't start your second most expensive player in Sebas. I don't understand how you don't start your most capable playmaker in Quintero. I don't understand how you put a player who was 1 foot out of the door in Fafa over a player in Pasher who's been there in practice, dedicating himself, doing whatever he can to try to get back on the pitch. Like, did Pasher die? I mean, is that the reason why he's not?
He did get injured though.
Yeah, so
injured or sick. I was one of the two.
Yeah, so I mean, but he was on the bench. So I mean, obviously he was.
Nah, you don't have to be fully match fit to make that.
Yeah, but then why didn't you take Beto? Why is Beto sitting?
100% agree with that. 100% agree there.
So I mean, it's one of those things where the team selection is it's mind-boggling to me, and that's where I'm getting some Tab vibes with it, because it's just one of those things where I don't know if it's Paulo just being stubborn and saying, no, these are my guys, and these are the ones I see in practice doing the most. So I'm gonna pick these guys regardless of what happens week in, week out. Okay, cool. That's fine. But the results are not there, man. And that's the thing. Like, this is insanity. You're picking the same guys and expecting different results, and it's not happening. You're going down the same lane that Tab went down and ultimately caused his reason for dismissal from the club. And it's not just focused on one player, obviously, like Memo, right? But it's just, like I said, you have players who need to be given a chance, an opportunity, because we already seen what Fafa can do. We already seen what Memo can do. Thankfully, Bear was at pitch 25 with you, Sean, because if I would have seen him playing, I would have been upset at that too,
Can't blame him for that match.
Yeah, I've already seen what these players can do. Like, show me something new, because obviously this ain't it. And I understand that he inherited this team with these players, but the difference now is that you have a reserve team of young cats playing regular minutes who are match fit, who you can bring up and down as you please, and utilize those players, but you don't. You don't. That's the big difference there. You have a reserve team that's doing really well in their reserve league. I think they're in second, third place in their conference or whatever. But like, you're not utilizing them. You're not utilizing them at all. And you're going with these experienced veterans who are supposed to be the back spine of the team, and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it's it's frustrating as a fan because, and we have to ask this question, right? We've talked about inconsistencies being a big struggle, for younger teams and what have you, but how do you go from it being a team that does what you did at home against Frisco, and 3 days later, we ain't talking a week later, we're talking 3 days later, you come out and you play a solid half, and then all of a sudden you just give up? It didn't even look like, I mean, yes, they were trying, don't get me wrong, yes, they were trying, but that defense just it so much passing around the back line and between the defensive midfielders back to the back line, that there's too much static nobody's moving around. No, these are professional soccer players. If they can't handle the heat for that long, 90 minutes, a couple matches in a week, they don't belong playing out there. And
and I hate that people keep bringing that up. They're not playing. This is the only competition they're playing. They're only playing MLS games. And the thing is, the crazy thing for me is like these players, all their dreams is to go play in Europe and all this thing. Like, how do you think you're gonna play in Europe when you can't just play in a regular league season? You got European teams that play season games, cup games, other cup games, international games. Like it's a whole mess. Like it's 2 to 3 times as many games that you play here in MLS, and people want to fatigue this. Well, if these players are that fatigued and tired, then we need a new trainer. Like I don't know who the hell they're hiring or what process is going on as far as the trainer goes, but there needs to be something done. And I understand it's hot and humid and all that stuff, but this is what they train for. This is supposed to be the home advantage of the Dynamo. The fact that that we live in hell, so they only come to visit. So it is what it is. Mr. Cody on YouTube says, "We better beat San Jose because they suck. If we don't win, I'm done." And he might have a valid point, man. I made a joke, saying that, look, hey, I think the Dynamo are going to score 3 to 4 goals on San Jose, but San Jose might score 8 to 9 on us, just because of how sorry we've been. And obviously, I think the most entertaining match of the season, aside from the Frisco obviously game that just happened, was that San Jose game. I think it was a 4-3 final score for us winning over here at home. And obviously those guys are going through changes as far as finding a new head coach and things like that. But San Jose understands a rivalry match, and they understand that the Houston Dynamo is the old San Jose, and they understand that those fans want to beat the old San Jose Earthquake. So do you think those players are not going to try for their fans, or whatever coach ends up coaching them is going to not try to win at home? So like, I can't even give you a positive face. I can't even look you in the eye, Sean, and tell you that the Dynamo are going to win against San Jose, the last place team in our conference. I can't even give you that.
Yeah, and I get frustrated, I think, to some extent also when people are out there, and I get it to some extent, but I think that it's become an excuse that's just used. Well, Nagamura inherited this mess. Sure, he did, but he was also brought in because the expectation was that he could find a way to make at least some of the mess work. And the reality is we're no different off than we were last year. And that includes having brought in 2 pretty big key players and getting some additional players, that are other in other areas, from our youth teams. And so I don't get it. I just don't get it from the perspective of, this is a team that should be playing better than they have been. It's a team that has brought in a big time player, and I'm not arguing that Hector Herrera can't do it on his own. I'm not arguing that. I don't want anybody thinking I'm saying not that. But how is it one of these situations where, you bring in a player like that, he elevates the team in one match, and then the next match, nothing. And I'm not blaming Hector for it. I'm not blaming Hector for it.
No, you can't blame him for it. I mean, you can't. Heck, like I said, if anything, I applaud him because when those interviews started coming out about how Pat and those guys courted him to come to the Dynamo, and they explained to him that look, this is a kind of a rebuilding season and things like that. Like I was like, man, I wonder what they told him, because I'm sure Hector had a lot of opportunities to go elsewhere, and obviously maybe even go win a couple trophies somewhere or whatever, He obviously, he's going to be the face of the franchise here, but damn, do you really want to be the face of the franchise of a club that's been near the bottom for the last 3-4 years, But applause to him because he decided, look, I'm gonna go there, and we're gonna see him. Like if this goes right, and the trajectory for the Dynamo is ascending from here on out, the Hector Herrera signing will be the starting block of when everything started to, go right for the Dynamo, hopefully. And, you can't blame him. I mean, he goes out there and he, like I said, the game isn't quick for him. He seems like he's at ease. He knows where to pass the ball. He knows when to hold the ball up. He knows when to make the pass. He knows when to switch the play up to a different side of the pitch and things like that. It's no biggie for him. But the unfortunate thing for him, he doesn't have the same quality amount of players on those positions to receive those balls and to do anything with those passes or balls, Like I said, Fafa, slow feet don't need or whatever his phrase is. I mean, but damn, can you dribble? Can you dribble a little bit? Can you shoot? I mean, he had an opportunity to at least make it 3-2, and he can't kick the ball for shit to score the goal right there, 5 feet away from the goal. It's those type of plays that sometimes are just agonizing, and just you just want to just like throw a soccer ball at the TV. In my case, but obviously, with that being said, I mean, if we're gonna be optimists here, Sean, I guess we're only 5 points away from the playoff line. With Nashville holding that spot right now, currently at 27 points, we're at 22. They're at an even goal differential. We're at -3. So, I mean, we have an opportunity. They have a game in hand, But then if you look at it from the other side standpoint, the 3 teams that are below us, Colorado, San Jose, and SKC, 2 of those teams have 2 games in hand on us. And then SKC, the one who has the same amount of games as us, that have 19 points, they're the team. We already lost to them at MLS, and they eliminated us from the U.S. Open Cup. So, man, it can go bad real quick here if we don't get our stuff together and Nagamura, huddles these guys up and gets them focused, because it can go sour real quick.
Yeah, I kind of want to know. And I wish players had the agency to be able to say it, but I really would like to know from the players, is Nagamura legitimately coaching or is he managing? It was my same complaint when it came to Tab, is that Tab was just a manager, not a coach. He wasn't out there coaching. I think that from what I've seen of Nagamura, it appears he's coaching, but I have to wonder what, type of coaching is he providing? Just telling players, go do this, go do that? Or is he providing actual, like, situational, circumstantial advice? I just, from what I'm seeing, man, it's players are lost on the field. Players are lost on the field. Players are lost all over the place. And that, to me, midway through the season, it does not compute. It absolutely does not compute. I can't understand it. I can't get it. Sure, going on the road in MLS and in any soccer league in the world is a tough thing, but that's an excuse. You went out there after playing extremely well against a very good Frisco side at home. You played very well. And then 3 days later, you went out there, you played a good first half. And then, again, I got to come back to this because I'm trying to give some thought into Paulo here, but, those subs just across the board. The only two subs that made sense was Quintero and Hector Herrera. Outside of those 2 players coming on the pitch, none of the rest of those players should have seen the pitch at all. It was way too defensive. It was very much I'm trying to stop the bleeding versus I'm going to go out there and we're going to prove that we can, not only can we stop the bleeding, but we're going to cause them to bleed. It was, we took their best punches and we were like, we're done. And I can't stand that as a fan. I can't stand that as a fan because, again, I want to see heart and I want to see passion from the team, from the players. And as a fan, I didn't see a damn bit of that.
Yeah, man. And the thing about it is, it's going to be a struggle. I mean, you mentioned it's hard to win on the road in MLS, but yet the team that you just played has a better road record than the dual home record, and they're currently number 1 in our conference, and as much as it pains me to say it, I mean, Austin is looking really good right now, and the thing about it is, we only have six games left at home, and we have tough opponents. We still got LAFC, we still got Montreal, who are doing really well too. I mean, we got, I think the Galaxy is one of them as well. These are playoff teams. These are playing teams with big names, big players, and who have big ambitions as far as, making the playoffs. So, we need to start collecting points somewhere from the road, somewhere. Like, it's one of those things where the beginning of the season was great because, we beat Miami and I think we won another game on the road. If I can't really remember which other one, so we collected 2 road wins super quick and then that was it. Like,
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
At this point in the season, given where we are, given the matches we have remaining, given the players we have, given everything in a vacuum, would you as a fan accept it if the team said, basically said without saying it publicly, look, we don't believe we have a chance left in the season. We're going to start preparing for next season. We're going to start playing the youth. We're not going to worry about veteran players getting their feelings hurt. We're just going to play the youth, and we're going to play Hector Herrera out there so he can get his sea legs under him. We're going to play Quintero out there just so that we can have a little bit of veteran presence out there. But basically just saying, you know what, we're going to give the young guys a chance because they are tearing it up with Dynados. And if you don't believe me, that Dynados match on Sunday, 4-1, 5-1, I don't even remember the final score, but they were tied 1-1 going into half and scored 3 goals within like 3 minutes. I mean, it was absurd, and it was fun to watch. I didn't get to go, but it was fun to watch it on MLSnextPro.com. And you can't tell me, and half of those players, that's the ones that scored, LaFleur and Edwards, are players that we haven't even considered as being the future of the Dynamo. These are just players that we brought in to replace and fill in the gap left by players like Palomino that got called up but never played. Players like Juan Castilla that got called up for the 1 or 2 Open Cup matches and played like sparing minutes. Players like Brooklyn Reigns who got called up for those Open Cup matches. The list goes on and on. These players came in and they played like they've been there the whole season. And I'm like, how is it possible to have such a stellar, fantastic Dynamo Dos team and then turn around and have this level of capitulation? In my opinion, if the players and the veterans are going to play like that against Austin, I want the youth to come in and play, because it's not worth my money as a season ticket holder to go watch a bunch of veterans that don't give a damn about this badge, don't give a damn about this team, this club, or this city. I want to see players that want to play for who this team represents, what this team represents. And you cannot go into our rivals. I don't care that Austin's a new team, and we don't have the same level of history as Frisco, but I am done with this bullshit mentality that the youth don't deserve to play. They have played with more heart and passion since day one of MLS Next Pro than any veteran on this team, with the exception of Sebas, Thor, and I might give you Steve Clark, but that is a tough one for me to swallow. Granted, I love Steve Clark. But then you also have Hector Herrera. I guarantee you Hector Herrera would love to play with some of those kids right now and help them grow. Instead, we get a bunch of veterans. Serendino, look, I love Seren, don't get me wrong, but Serendino does not need to be starting a damn match in MLS anymore for the Houston Dynamo. It is time for him to move on. He is not going to be playing with Hector Herrera next season. So look, I am done with this shit. It is time. Paulo needs to swallow the blue pill. He needs to give it up and understand that, look, the fans are done with this bullshit of a team. We know we suck. We know these players suck. I'm sorry, guys. We know these players suck. We understand that. Stop telling us that. Stop telling us your hands are tied. Your hands aren't tied. You just don't want to play the damn youth that you brought in specifically to be better than the players that are here.
Yeah, I mean, just to answer the question,
I went question and then I went off.
Yeah, you kind of answered your own question, I appreciate the answer. No, man, I mean, dude, look, this is what makes it even more frustrating, right? Like, even though as sorry as we're doing, like I mentioned earlier, we're 5 points away from the playoff spot, right? Like in MLS, it's so hard not to make the playoffs because there's so many playoff spots available in each conference. Like you have to be really sorry to not make the playoffs. And unfortunately, the Dynamo have been really sorry for the last 3-4 years. That's why they don't make the damn playoffs. And right now it just we're always at that midway of the season where we're like, dude, but we're right there. If we just have a couple of games in a row where we can win and get some points and stuff like that, we can make a run at this. But why do we keep expecting that when we don't have the talent, we don't have the players, we don't have the balls to go out there and do it? Like it's always excuses like, oh, fatigue. It's always excuses, this and that, or the chemistry isn't there, or because it's a first year coach, or because it's a team of leftovers from last season or whatever. I mean, dude, like, come on. How many excuses do we have to make for the squad? For this club? I mean, look, I understand that this is a process, and that's fine. Okay, if we're gonna make it a process, let's do the process right. Let's make this process right. I don't care about playoffs anymore.
Yeah,
for this season. I don't care about playoffs. I don't want to see Memo play. I don't want to see Fafa play. I don't want to see Barrett play. Shit, I don't want to see Parker play.
I don't want to see Dorsey play anymore either.
I don't want to see Dorsey play. Okay, cool. Play the youth. Play those guys. You know, bring back, play the veterans that you are on the hinge of whether or not they're gonna be here next season. You know, but for sure, I want to see every game. I want to see Hector. I want to see Sebas. I want to see Quintero because he should be one of those fringe players. Depends because you know obviously he still can do a job for you as a super sub and next season or whatever. You know, Seca, you know he's doing good. His defense is a little bit shaky, but you know he brings a lot of from the wide. You know because we don't have no wingers that can cross the ball. Like we keep getting these wingers or we keep playing people out of position who can't cross the ball. And as a winger and in a 4-3-3, you got to learn how to cross the ball. So I got to bring up my right back to make the best crosses for my whole squad. So that way my nines and my strikers can have at least a chance to score a goal, you know, from outside the box. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. So like, let's do it. Let's do it. Like,
and I don't want to hear people.
This. I'm sorry, Sean.
Oh no, go ahead, finish.
I don't care about playoffs. I don't care about playoffs anymore.
No, I feel that, and I don't want to hear people saying we can't make moves or we can't, you know, we don't have space for the youth. That's bullshit. You got plenty of veteran players that you could absolutely waive, or you could absolutely trade away for just basic allocation money to make room. Look. There are international players. Nobody wants to talk about it, but I would trade Seren in a heartbeat right now for the opportunity to bring up Palomino and at least let Palomino ride a damn bench. Even if Palo is never going to start him, at least force the damn issue. Palomino is one of our best young players, and I don't care what people think. He is absolutely, without a doubt, one of our best young players. And if you're not going to do Palomino, fine. There are other players on that team that deserve an opportunity. At least deserve a look. And it feels like right now we're just back where we were in 2021, back where we were in 2020, back where we were in 2019, and I'm done with it. I am absolutely done with it as a fan, and it has nothing to do with the club, because God knows I love this club with my heart, and I will until the day I die, period. No matter what the club does.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all support other clubs in the world, and we all see them go through their dark days, and we all love them when they're doing their best and lifting trophies and things like that. Sorry, Sean, I know you don't know that feeling, you know, with you firsthand, but you know, but it's one of those things where like, look, okay, we understand the hole that the previous regime dug the club was a huge one. It was massive. I think we made it all the way to the other side of the world. We're in China or whatever, came out of there. But dude, just say F it. No playoffs. Focus on the youth. Who's going to be here next season, and start eliminating the people who are out of contract and are not going to be here. And see if and throw flyers around. See if anybody's interested. Because trust me, I'm sure any one of these 7 teams in the Western Conference, whether it be from Austin, Nashville, Galaxy, Frisco, whoever, would be interested in a player as part of his depth. You know, like you can't tell me one of those clubs couldn't use Seren as quality depth. You can't tell me that one of those clubs couldn't use a Tim Parker as quality depth, or you know, or maybe improve their defense. You know. Something, anything, like, you know, throw it out there. Who cares? You're not doing anything with the squad. You're not doing anything with these players. You know, it's just a bunch of hoorah. It's a bunch. And just to go back to what you were saying earlier about Paulo, whether you don't know whether or not if he's coaching or if he's managing, you know, at the beginning, I think it's just one of those things where it just seemed to me where I don't know if he's just a hoorah person, which I don't really get that from him regardless. But like, I don't see him as a tactician. I don't see him as anybody who changes up philosophy in the middle of the game. I just see him as somebody who's like, okay, I'm going to plug somebody here, and hopefully this player has enough individual talent that can turn things around. And we don't have a player like that. We don't have a player like that on the offensive side of the ball that can just and change our fortunes, you know?
Well, we do. His name is Coco.
Well, yeah, and he did really well.
Tell me I'm wrong, though. Tell me I'm wrong.
I mean,
that man, when he is off the pitch, this team is pointless. Even with Hector Herrera on the pitch.
Look, Coco, that guy right there, he has it. He has that flair. He has that passion that I like. And look, and him and Herrera next year, man, in that midfield is going to be something awesome. Now, if we could find an attacking 10 to be able to distribute the ball, to be that link between them and Sebas,
his name is Marcelo Palomino, by the way. You could say it out loud. It's okay.
Well, I mean, like I said, but like, how do we know? Like, this kid is not being.
How could we know? Because they never give him an opportunity. I shouldn't say they. It has nothing to do with the Dynamo front office and everything to do with Paulo fucking Nagamura.
And we mentioned this last year. I mean, we mentioned this last year. We mentioned this last week. If Palomino plays the rest of the season and he sucks, if he sucks and he's just on level with whoever, let's say he's another Memo, cool. Dump his ass on the offseason as well, But at least now you can't
call up Reigns because Reigns has a year before he can be called up by the Dynamo, other than a 4-day contract. That was for Finn because Finn said something about Reigns greater than Palomino.
But at least we know what the kid has, By that time, that's what we're at game 20, so we got 16 games left in the season.
Yep.
So 16 games should give you enough of a whether or not you think this kid should stay in this club or he should move on. And so why spend that on Surrender? Why spend that on Memo? Why spend that on another midfielder that we have that's not going to be here next season?
Yep, or an outside back that is like a half wing, half outside back, but doesn't play either well. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. But yes, I don't argue that Brooklyn Reigns is better than Marcelo Palomino, but here's the thing. How do we know how well either of them can play? Now, Brooklyn, I know, look, Brooklyn to me is Coco in another, like just a younger form of Coco right now. He is that good. He is absolutely that good. And I'm fine with waiting until next year. But you can't tell me if you know that you have half a season to fill that same spot that you can't warrant bringing up a Marcelo Palomino who's already signed to an MLS contract, or you can't bring up another player in that same position in Juan Castilla. Look, sure, Juan Castilla needs to bulk up. He needs to become stronger. But why not give him an opportunity? Then you got Talon Maples. I think it's Talon Maples. I don't remember his first name, but Maples playing center back. He's been fantastic. He's had one or two bad moves, but look, he's a young player. That's going to happen. You can't expect these young kids to be perfect and be ready for MLS if you never give them opportunity at playing in MLS. And the reason why teams like New York Red Bulls, New York FC, City FC, Seattle, Portland, the reason why their young players are always ready is because they are given minutes when they need it most. They are given the opportunity over these veterans that are not worth the damn money that you pay for them. Look, there is no way that we should be paying $600,000 to Fafa. When I saw $600,000 this morning when it came up on the Surge Discord, I about lost my ever-loving shit. I was so like, why are we paying that man $600,000? I could pay 6 players $100,000 at the youth level, and every damn one of them would be better than him. Beto Avila is better than him right now.
Yeah, man, and it's like you said. I'd rather give those players the experience right now during the season where we're gonna suck and we're not gonna make playoffs, instead of having them come into next year preseason, fighting to see whether or not they're going to make a spot or them doubting themselves or whatever, during preseason, because, we signed X player, we signed Y player, we signed Z player, and things like that. At least if you give them this opportunity, some of them might show out and you might not even have to spend money on that position. You can look elsewhere or spend more money to better improve a position that you already have, or that you need of desperately. And the thing about it is, and a lot of you guys are talking, Brooklyn Reigns. Obviously what we saw out of him and the US Open Cup was fantastic. The kid is just, he's beyond his age, right? But when he comes into the Dynamo next season, if he's given the opportunity to be in the first team, he's a rookie. Like we're putting all our hope in rookies. And things like that of that nature as well. Like we can't do that. Like all this pressure on these young kids, dude. Like you're only gonna find your Alphonso Davies every once in a blue moon. Like not all these 16, 17, 18-year-old kids are gonna be hits. And no matter as much as we love them and how well they're doing in MLS Next and things like that. Like look. You can bring up the whole MLS Next of Dynamo 2 players, and I hope they all do well. But realistically, if one or two of those players hit and end up in the first team, that's great. but I don't expect the whole team to be hits, you know. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens because the San Jose game is gonna say a lot because, I mean, if we win, like I said, we're there again. You know, we're flirting with playoffs or whatever. But if we lose, we lost against a team that's below us, and they're going to surpass us in points.
Yeah, man, it is a state of affairs right now as a Dynamo fan. Just, you know, there's a lot to be hopeful about, I think, in the long term, but, you know, and I think most fans are probably more realistic than we give them credit for. Most understand that this team, you know, talent-wise, player-wise, sucks. That's fine. Again, we can suck. But if we're gonna suck, if we're gonna spend money on players that suck and we're stuck in that position, then stop trying to feed us this line of we're fighting for playoffs. Just stop fighting for playoffs. I don't want to make playoffs if I know that we're gonna bow out in the first round because we suck.
And you know, I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna continue. You go. I was just gonna continue.
Yes. So I mean, you know, and I think that, you know, obviously the front office, there's a business side to this thing, right? They saw the crowd for the Charlotte game. They saw the crowd for the Frisco game. They want to keep that momentum going because they want to keep growing the fan base, right? That's fine and dandy, but do that in different things. You know, effort, man. Make the rest of the games 7-1-3 games. You know, bring all those people in, whatever. It doesn't matter, dude. Like, you know, like, yeah, the atmospheres were fun the last 2 home games. We had a great time. Drinks were flowing. New people were coming in. You know, a lot of excitement in the air and things like that. And the Dynamo shit the bit against Charlotte, like we mentioned last week. You know, they showed balls against Frisco because obviously they were only playing Frisco. They were playing against the refs as well. So, I mean, you know, there a lot, you know, that game showed a lot too, you know. It showed what this team could be or can be, but they're not. So, unfortunately, these next 6 games, even though we do have big names coming in, like, you know, LAFC with Vela and Bayo and those guys. We have the Galaxy with Chicharito and those guys. I think New England's coming in and they're going to bring their guys in, you know. Even though those are, I guess, premier matchups, but dude, just play the youth. Play the youth. Don't worry about the fans. Look, this offseason, you're gonna go in there. You're gonna have Hector. You know, if the front office is keeping their promises, that the only reason they can't do anything is because they're constrained because of the contracts that from the previous regime, and those are gonna fall off. Then you should be able to do plenty during that winter transfer window. And when those moves are made, you're gonna bring that hype back in because all the hype that you know. All that hype that Hector brought in was awesome. Now think about just bringing another player of higher capability or higher level. You sign another one of those, people are going to come back and be, hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, let's go to the Dynamo game. Let's go to PNC. I can't wait till opening day, you know? But if you just go off and do nothing in the winter transfer window and it's just the same as always, then you can't expect it, you know? You can't expect the fan base to be there and be loyal or the new fans to be there and come back and want to come check out Hector Herrera because he's Mexican. That's it. That can't be the only reason why these fans are going to show up to the stands, you know, just because he's Mexican. You know, if that was the case, then we would have sold out because when we had Cubo Torres or when we had, you know, the legend Landin, you know? But, yeah.
I mean, the thing about playing the youth now, or, you know, after you lose to San Jose, whatever comes first, the thing about playing the youth is at least you give yourself an excuse for why you suck. And if you suck, it doesn't matter how much you hype up the team and how we're still trying for playoffs. We still have a chance at playoffs. It doesn't matter how much you hype that up. At some point, fans are going to stop showing up because they don't care about that. Mm-hmm. At least right now. You know, they're not stupid. Like I said, fans aren't stupid. And, you know, if that's going to be your approach, you know, you really should be playing the youth because at least you give yourself a cop-out. Hey, we got to play the youth because we need them ready for next season. We're not just going to fight for playoffs for next season. We're going to fight to be one of the big dogs in the league. If you're going to be that competitive, or you believe you can be that competitive with Ted, you know, spending the money and you having the flexibility to make good moves, then go that route. Play your youth now so you can be ready for next year. because I think the reality is we're not going to be ready for next year. When next year gets here at the rate we're not playing our youth players, there's no point because we're still going to be in the same position. We're going to make moves for some veteran players. They're going to be roughly the same talent level as what we already have, maybe a little better. And it's still going to take them a half a year to get synced up. They're not going to come into the season ready to be great. They're not going to be synchronized. They're not going to be playing the best they can play. It takes time for those level of players to figure things out with each other. So if you know you're going to have that, why are you trying this whole thing of we're going to keep playing these same damn veteran players? You know they're not going to be here. And you know you're going to be bringing in other players. At the very least, give me the damn youth.
And someone on the chat, and someone in the chat said then fans don't necessarily show up for youth either. And that's understandable. Look, but you know what? But what I mentioned before is, you know what fans will show up for is an attractive brand of soccer. Win or lose, as long as it's attractive and it's fun and it's out there, you know, and it's enjoyable, that's great. But when you have your supposedly A team losing against your expansion and an expansion team that has never won on the road in its history, like how do you explain that to fans? You know, thank God that the next game was the Hector Herrera debut, because like how do you explain that to folks? You know, like you're supposed to be. There's all this hype. There's all this, you know, vibes around the whole club, and then you go and shit the bed like that. It's shameful. But you know, I think it was Kyle on here, and correct me if I'm wrong. You know, he mentions you rather go see the youth. You know, it's like the Rockets or whatever, or the Texans, whatever. You know, it's rebuilding right now. You know, and that's what it is. I mean, look, every club goes through it, unless you're a club with money who could just throw money at the problem. But we weren't that up until now. I mean, like I said, and BDT did spend on, you know, Sebas, and obviously he's spending on Hector, but you know, but obviously these two players are not going to be that can't be it. You know, there has to be major investment into the squad to get it back up to at least MLS standards, at least being a playoff contending team. We're not even talking championship quality yet. You know, there's still levels to this. There's still levels to this thing. Like I said, that hole was dug deep, and these guys are trying to fill it up as quickly as possible. And like I said, you know, they did well with the Sebas, with Sebas coming in, Hector coming in, Seca coming in. I mean, they're slowly but surely filling up positions with players that we can expect to see next season. The winter transfer window is going to be that centerpiece that, hey, okay, let's see how for real they are, you know, because let's see how this new scouting, you know, this new scouting department is going to do as far as scouting players, because it can't all be big name players. You know, I mean, as much as I would love to get a big name player for every position that we need help at, we would have Barcelona out there if that was the case, or Real Madrid out there, you know. But it can't all be big name players. We have to find diamonds in the rough, or, you know, players who might not be doing as well at other clubs that can prevail here. But for you to bring out the best in a player, you need a coach that's able to coach up a player, or, you know, and I don't know if Paulo's that guy.
Yeah, I am starting to kind of wonder, and I think that to some extent, you know, the criticism of Paulo is fair, and the criticisms coming into the season of, is Paulo the guy? You know, no experience as a head coach, other than, you know, youth coaching experience. Sure, you know, he beat out Jaime Lozano, but to be fair, Jaime Lozano wasn't exactly high on my list anyways.
I mean, he's another youth coach.
Yeah, just a bunch of youth coaches, right? But I kind of wonder, and this is me, you know, maybe being that eternal optimist, but I kind of wonder genuinely if there maybe was an intention, if they knew early at that level, that early in the process, that they were working towards signing Hector Herrera. They couldn't announce it, they couldn't talk about it, but there's a possibility that they were already working on that deal. They were talking to his agent, they had some verbal commitments and agreements in place, etc. So if that's the case, or that has a possibility, I kind of wonder if Paulo was always just a holdover, a stopgap until they got Hector here and could let Hector help them find the coach that he wants to have here.
Are we calling him Paulo Cully? Is he Dave Cully?
Yeah, essentially. Essentially.
I mean, look, like I said, I don't want to bash him. I don't want to be that guy that just keeps bashing our coach, whatever, But like I said, the decision was made for him to be hired. You knew the position that this club was in, so you decided to go with the route of the inexperienced cheap coach, which is fine. Look, the Rockets did that once they knew that Harden and Westbrook and those guys were going to leave the club. Why would they go hire Jeff Van Gundy, experienced, expensive coach, when they can hire a cheap assistant coach who can be the head coach for the first time, so he can train up the players? You have those stopgap coaches. Do you guys not remember Bo Porter for the Astros? Poor Bo. That guy, he was a great guy. I met him personally a couple of times, and he was a great guy. And but unfortunately, he was a stopgap before the other coach, I forgot his name. Came in, but and that's what Paulo might be. He just might be the cheap, inexperienced coach that we can bring in right now because we're not going to have the team that we need to compete in this league. So why are we going to spend X amount of dollars to bring in an experienced coach who is going to get frustrated, who might get frustrated with the project because he comes in and thinking he's gonna win quickly, and he's not, because he sees that this league is far ahead of what the Dynamo are at the moment. So you might be right, Sean. You might be onto something.
And, I'm sure the team would never come out and say it. And
obviously, no.
I could completely see it. But to be fair, I mean, you look at the Dash, again, still same owner, right? Same general approach and process. I can say openly, for those that don't know, they were looking at potentially coaches, when Clarkson was still head coach, before everything went down, with accusations and what have you, and the discipline. So, I mean, there's definitely... I'm a fan of where there's smoke, there's fire, or where there's blood, there's water. Where there's blood in the water, there's sharks. That's what they say. Or where there's sharks, there's blood in the water. One of those things, anyways. But I think that there's maybe some level of that maybe going on. And I think Kenny, the answer to your question, Kenny asked, Kenny says, I don't get why Pat credited Paolo specifically during the HH press conference. If it is a stopgap, he just makes himself look dumber for doing that. I think to some extent, at that point, maybe you're still considering Paolo as a potential long-term future, coach. But I think after you're seeing what you're seeing, you have to wonder, is Paolo the guy? And like I said, I still think that they've been looking. They're not going to stop looking.
And to be honest, Sean, I don't take much from these press conferences or these news
Nobody
conferences.
Does.
Like honestly. If Pat sits in the next conference, whenever the Sunday Explain says, hey, Paolo's going to be the next Sir Alex Ferguson of the MLS, I'm just going to look at him and be like, okay, cool. Paolo can say whatever he wants to say Pat can say whatever he wants about Paolo, but at the end of the day, Nick Casario, congratulated Cully the whole season for the great job he did of coaching his team up, getting the players to focus on the task at hand, even though they knew that they weren't going to be a winning franchise that season, whatever. And then what happened? They fired him. I mean, dude, like at the end of the day, Paulo's going to get his money or whatever money he's owed or whatever. That's it's all a business. How many times you see in a workplace where you hey, this guy's great, blah, 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 this and that. He's been here with us for however many years, and then 2 months later, he's gone. It's a business. You're going to say whatever you're going to say in front of cameras, in front of the news people, because that's the politically correct thing to say, or that's what the PR thing to do is. But, I mean, at the end of the day, when, if push comes to shove and they see a whole season of Paulo losing the squad and this and that, even though that most of the squad is going to be gone next season, do you want to risk Paulo losing the next batch of players that come in the same way he lost the last batch of players? That's going to be ultimately the question that you're giving yourself. That's ultimately the question that Pat and Asher and BDT are going to have to ask themselves. Do we want to give this guy an opportunity to coach the team that we're finally going to build, and that should be at least a contending team for the playoffs, do we want to give him an opportunity to coach that team? Because we saw how quickly the team turned on him this past season. Will a more experienced, more veteran-based team turn on him the same way, quicker? Because they're going to see the inexperience, or they're going to not agree with his tactics, or they're not going to agree with his way of methodology or whatever, you know?
So, it's been brought up in chat. I want to talk about this. There are, the majority of frustration towards Paolo seems to be mostly targeted by fans at Paolo and the front office. And I would agree with that. I do think that most of that is from us, but the idea that that Austin fans last year at the end of last year wanted to get rid of Josh Wolf, and they stuck by him. Okay, there's difference there though, right? They were building towards something. If we're keeping less than 50% of our roster because most of these players aren't good enough, what are you building towards? You really aren't building towards anything. He's going to still need, he's still going to need that beginning of the season, that first 3 to 6 months of the season, or 3 months of the season, the first half of the season to get things figured out with the new players that are going to be coming in. The difference between where we are versus where Austin was at the end of last season is completely different. And it's, I like the question of, do we like what we're seeing out of Nagabal? I'll be honest, I don't like what I've seen from most of Nagabal. I think there's potential in certain aspects of the way that Nagamura coaches and his tactical approach, but I think far too often he has a tendency to want to be conservative. And to be honest, that is an SKC style and system in a nutshell. And I don't want to be conservative. We have players that we should not have to be conservative. I don't care what you say about the players. We should not have to be conservative to go out there. We've got enough attacking if we just try.
Yeah, I think I don't remember where somebody. I was speaking to somebody. I don't know if it was. I don't think it was this show. It might have been another one of the shows that I did last week. But somebody mentioned that Nagabal doesn't consist of having an attacking 10. Well, then we don't need to be playing Nagabal. Yeah. Because if you look at all the top teams in MLS, what do they all have? A high quality number 10. This league is for attacking football. Like, we have the physicality on defense because we know we have a bunch of bulky, center backs in the back right there, just kind of pushing, doing what they do as far as, American soccer goes. But the teams that pull themselves away from that pack is because they have a high level attacking 10 player. Ladero, Celeria, Vela, Velasco with the Frisco, just to name a couple of off the top of my head. I mean, these players are high quality players who have come in and they show their quality, and they show that they're able to catapult that team into whatever next level they're trying to reach to. And the thing is, I mean, we need to go look for that player. Like, Quintero was that player maybe about 3-4 years ago. He look, as much as Quintero has done for us these last 3 seasons or whatever, he's 34, 35 years old. We can't rely on him to be our future because he's not. We need to find the 27, 28-year-old version of him in this winter transfer window. That's what we need to do. And Quintero can stay on as a super sub or whatever. That's fine, But until we find that attacking player who can be our playmaker, distribute the ball, score the ball, attack whenever he needs to, whenever the team needs a boost, we're not gonna be anything. We're not gonna do anything. And whoever says that this team doesn't need the 10 or we can do without a 10, good luck. Because it'll be a lot easier to turn this team around once you find that one high quality number 10 player to control your ball and to be the pivot and to be that arrow to your offense than it is to go find 3 other players, because you don't want to have a number 10 in your system, and you want to go look for a high quality number 8 and another quality number 9 and another quality 11, because you still need wingers. So good luck with that. I'd rather look for one high-quality player that can turn my team around than look for 2 or 3 other positions that hopefully might hit.
Yeah, one thing we haven't really even discussed is how we have, even though they're not specifically defensive midfielders or deep lying central midfielders, we have a lot of, we actually have a good number of them. They're just not, again, they're not listed that way on the roster, right? You have guys like Ethan Bartlow, you have guys like Sam Junko that can play that position. You've got, Daniel Steres that can play there. And we've not, look, we've not seen Nagamura, we've not seen Paulo make any attempt to change the approach, to change the tactic on the road. It's been the same exact approach, the same exact tactics and formation and style of play on the road, no matter who we're playing against. And I've said it, y'all know this, I've said it so many times, that if you're not changing tactically to approach, to highlight your own strengths and force other teams to adapt to your strengths, then you're not doing it right. And our strengths are not the things that Paulo keeps pushing out there. And, so I just, man, I've said it, I struggle with it. I struggle with it because I get a lot of the desire not to move from Paulo because you still don't know what you have until he's got a full squad of talented players. But a coach should not need a full squad of talented players to show what they can do. And if he continues to tell you he needs better players, and he's only putting out what he's putting out, and he's not changing some things, then to be honest with you, in my opinion, that coach doesn't belong here. He's not the right fit for the Houston Dynamo. He's a better fit for a club that's going to be fully backing him like 100%. But
I've always, God.
No, I was just going to say, but I don't feel like right now Nagamura is not the right coach for the Dynamo right now. And if he's not the right coach right now, I don't want to keep him in that position on the off chance that maybe he is, for the exact same reasons you just talked about in reference to bringing in a big time player. If you don't bring in a big time coach, you're just hoping that the next coach that you hire from the youth ranks is going to be the guy that you hit on. You have to hit on one of them. And at this point, we've not only not hit on them, we've missed, we've whiffed. And so, if you're not going to be willing to put your money where your mouth is when it comes to your coach, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I've mentioned this during this whole dynasty of sorry road results that we've had as a Dynamo club, right? That F it, man. Look, I'd rather go out there guns blazing and heck, put so much pressure on that squad on the road where, hey, we might end up winning a 4-2 game on the road, Heck, we might end up losing 5-0 because we put so much pressure. We're not focusing on our defense. But shit, at the end of the day, I think we've in the last 4 years, I think we've only managed 17, 18 points. In the last 4 years on the road, 18 points on the road. Like that's mind-boggling. That's crazy. That's crazy. Think how many road games. That's half our season. So 18 times 4. I mean, dude, and then only have 18 points. I think it was 18, 19 points if I don't remember. That is crazy.
So here's the thing, right? Let's say that you stick with Paulo. Let's say that you go out and you get the players that you believe are better than the ones that you have now. You bring them in and you have the exact same results and the exact same performances. You've just wasted every bit of Hector Herrera that you brought him in for. Just absolutely wasted it. That's what I'm most concerned with. Everything else I've said are just more reasons. But what I'm most concerned is that we have an aging central / defensive midfield player that is our star player. And we're wasting the rest of this season, no matter what we do with him on the pitch. No offense, it has nothing to do with him. And then we're talking about potentially wasting all of next season, or at least half the next season. Because, hey, if we go into the first half of the season and Paulo sucks, we get rid of him halfway through the season, you still are going to have to bring somebody in at the halfway point of the season. And then you're going to change tactics. You're going to change alignments. You're going to change everything else. I know, Waco, this is negative Sean hitting the books now. I want to see Paulo succeed, but I'm done with trying to see him succeed here. I'm ready to see a big coach come in here that can make a difference. And there is one that is 100% available right now that would that I guarantee you would get the fan base ignited and would piss off the rest of MLS to no end. And you know who I'm talking about, Mark.
I'll get to here and make this statement before our show ends.
All right.
You know, and just to carry on with what Sean said, I mean, I don't blame them for doing it kind of ass backwards as far as acquiring Hector, because obviously they still needed to make that splash. They needed to get they needed to get some kind of flair for the club, right? They needed to get some kind of hype around the club because, you know, obviously the club hasn't been doing anything as far as, you know, trying to garner new fans or anything like that, right? So I understand, but with that being said, now that puts you in a tough position where you have to go build this team quick because you have your star player, you know, and this guy he's 32, he's gonna be 33, man. So he doesn't have that many years left as far as his prime goes, you know, and like that's why when you see these clubs sign these big names, they have the clubs ready to go. You know, when LAFC came in the fold, yes, their first big signing was Carlos Vela, but then they went out there and started signing a club, and they hired the right coach that needed to handle that club, and Bob Bradley. You know, same thing with Toronto when they brought in the Javinko era. You know, with Josie Altidore, they weren't getting nothing from Jermaine Defoe, so they traded his ass for Josie Altidore and brought in Michael Bradley and all those guys and had a team around them. You know, Osorio and all those guys, Bono, their goalkeeper. They had the team built already to bring in those stars and take them and push them to the next level, championship level. Seattle. I mean, dude, as much as everybody wants to talk about the LA clubs or even Toronto's, I think Seattle is the marquee franchise of this league. The way they did it is to perfection. You know, the way they started, the way they've done it, the titles that they've won, the U.S. Open Cups, the MLS titles, and then that CONCACAF Champions League on top of that, man, they're the premier club of this league, you know? And while to try to achieve what Seattle has done is hard as fuck, but you have to strive for that kind because that's what you have. That's what you're competing against. You have to strive for that type of success because that's what you're competing against.
Yes. Did you come up with the coach that I'm thinking of?
Give me a clue. One clue.
He's coached in MLS before.
Oh, he's coached in MLS before.
Wait, I'll make it easier for you. He's been successful at the highest level of MLS play.
The highest level?
As a coach.
As a coach? I'm trying to think who got fired. Who is it? Brown? No, Brown. I can't be Brown. It can't be. Is it Bruce?
No. Bruce is still coaching in New England.
Yeah, Bruce is still coaching.
I do like Dinosaur's guess of Ted Lasso.
I'm trying to think who's won the championship. No. That can't be it. Shit.
You want me to give you another hint?
Go ahead.
It's a guy that I've brought up before that I would love to long-term see coaching the Houston Dynamo.
Oh, man, I have no idea. Oh, Tata
Martino. The guy understands how to coach in MLS. Yes. He understands how to get the most out of young players and to get the most out of veteran players. He understands the value and commitment of a fan base. He understands how you do it with big name players. He understands how you play attractive, entertaining, attacking soccer. What else can I say? I mean, look, please make it happen, Ted. Make it happen, Pat. Look, I'm done with Paulo. Get me Tata. I'm happy on the offseason. I don't care who the hell you bring in after that on the offseason. Just give me coach.
Yeah, if Mexico shits the bed in the World Cup, which I really think they're going to do, Tata should be available. Happen,
let's be honest.
Tata should be available in January, easy.
How much you want to bet? Hector's got him on a phone already. Hector's sitting there like, hey, Tata, so I hear you might need a place to come. I'm just letting you know, man, I got the ear of the owner and the ear of the GM.
Let's do it. I'm down. If it's a possibility, I'm down. Let's do it. I love Tata. Maybe he calls up Miggy and brings him over back to MLS from Newcastle because he ain't gonna have no spot in Newcastle.
Look, how many players wanted to play for Tata when he was with Atlanta? I mean, there were players that were begging for the opportunity to get traded.
You have to think. I mean, look, Tata has the pedigree. He coached in Argentina, coached in Barcelona. Obviously the Mexican national coach. He has the pedigree. The thing about coaches, and this is going to be the last thing I say because I know we're about up close to the show being in, that players respect coaches who've done it before and who have done it and still are able to do it. When you have a pedigree, you are able to bring in players of different quality, different qualities because they've played with you before, or they know what you're capable of. They know that you know how to bring out the best of them, so they're willing to follow you wherever. You can go play wherever.
Antonio Conte. Oh man, I had a little something caught in my throat there. I had to get out.
Antonio Conte. But yeah, man. I mean, yeah. If Santa's available, dude, I don't see why Ted and them wouldn't go after him. But guys, obviously, we're coming to the end of the show. It was a bad week. Hopefully this is the start of a good week, with us this Wednesday and this weekend against San Jose. Hopefully we get a W. Guys, again, we're still trying to get to 150 subscribers on both our YouTube and Twitch. The thing still stands. Look, as soon as we get 150, we're going to do a raffle off for a couple of Dynamo hats and a couple of Diesel plush toys or whatever. So yeah, please help us get to 150 on both YouTube and Twitch. But other than that, obviously, guys, Hector has finally made it. We saw him on the pitch, so we're not throwing up 2 H's anymore. Now it's back to 1H. But at the end of the day, we're still holding it down.
I'm doubling it. Come on, I'm doubling it. It's still Hector's team.
Right. Shout out Noelia.